The case you're about to watch is anything but ordinary. A mother stands before the court and admits she entered a home without permission, but her reason is what makes this case so emotional. After not seeing her young son for 40 days, she says she acted on instinct when she finally saw him face to face. What starts as a straightforward trespassing case quickly turns into a complicated discussion about marriage, custody, parental rights, and the limits of the law. Did this mother knowingly break the rules, or was she simply trying to reconnect with her child? Stay tuned, because the judge is about to uncover details that make this case far more complicated than it first appears.
Keep him from me, so I walked up to the front door. My son saw me through the window and ran to me. And as he got closer to the door, I put my hand on it and I opened the door. I took one foot inside the door. My other foot was on the porch. He jumped into my arms because he was 4. He hadn't seen me either. And I just held him and I closed the door behind him and I took him home with me. But I understand that I shouldn't have entered the home. So.
All right. And you didn't have anybody's permission to enter the home, is that correct?
Right. No, I did not.
Let me ask you this. Are you a custodial parent?
Oh, yes. We were still married, so I had been trying to get him back, and it was considered a civil matter, and there was nothing anybody would do to help me at that time. Divorce was filed after that, and since then, now we have a custody.
At this point, the courtroom is faced with a difficult reality. The defendant openly admits she entered the residence without permission, but she also explains that there was no custody order in place at the time. According to her testimony, she was still legally married and had been unable to see her son for more than a month. This creates an emotional conflict between what may be legally prohibited and what many parents might feel compelled to do in a similar situation. The judge appears hesitant to rush to judgment because the circumstances involve family relationships rather than a typical trespassing dispute. What would you have done if you were in her position? Let us know in the comments.
Was there a parenting time relationship at the time that this occurred?
No, we were married. We were separated.
Your Honor, there was no court for or no.
Pardon?
There was no court order at that time for parenting time.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to figure out, counsel, is if there's a child between okay, let me ask this. Ma'am, how far in the house did you go?
I had 1 foot in the front door and 1 foot on the porch. And that was just, he was running towards me. And when I opened the door as he came close, I hadn't seen him and I hadn't spoken to him or seen him in 40 days. So it was like an excitement to finally see him. I stepped 1 foot in kind of just for stability. He literally jumped in my arms and then I closed the door behind him and I just took him home with me. I should have. I called the police on my way there. I explained the situation. I told them I just want to see my son. I just want to make sure he's okay. And they were going to meet me there, but I should have waited. Ideally, yeah, so that's why I'm saying I am guilty. I did go in the door when I should not have, but mother's instinct, I needed to see my son.
Can I ask a question? And because I'm trying to figure out the home, was there a marital home between the two of you?
That was our marital home.
Okay, then
But we were separated.
got a problem, folks. Hold it. Just hold on, ma'am. I got a problem.
This is where the case takes a surprising turn. The judge begins questioning whether a legally married spouse can actually be considered a trespasser in what was once the marital home. Suddenly, what seemed like a straightforward guilty plea becomes much more complicated. The court is now examining property rights, marital status, and who legally controlled the residence at the time of the incident. The judge's skepticism suggests there may be more to this story than the original charge indicates. But just when it looks like the defendant may have a strong argument, prosecutors reveal a critical detail that could completely change the outcome of the case.
Your Honor, if I can ask a couple of questions, I think of the defendant, I think maybe I can shed some light on this.
Okay.
Ms. Stamper, on that day, had you been evicted from the residence by the owner of the?
Yes.
All right, and who was the owner of the home?
My husband's parents.
Okay, so the home was not owned by either you or your husband, correct?
Right.
Okay, and you had been evicted at the time that this occurred, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you did not.
Folks, I mean, here's going to be my problem. If they're married, the tenancy interest, does he have a tenancy in the premises?
That's hard to say. We were both evicted, but then he moved back in because it's his parents' home.
Yeah, so they were both evicted from the home. The divorce proceeding started in 2019. The eviction was in 2020. So yes, they were both out of the home, and then it appears his parents allowed him to move back to the home. There were some issues prior to this incident where it's alleged that the defendant was coming to the home and knocking on the windows and possibly banging on the doors to see her son. So there was other issues before this. So she had no permission to be on the property or in the residence.
And so if the divorce had been filed prior to...
The final pieces of the puzzle are now coming together. The prosecution clarifies that the home was owned by the husband's parents, not by either spouse. More importantly, both parties had reportedly been evicted from the property before this incident occurred. That detail significantly changes the legal landscape because it weakens any claim that the defendant still had a lawful right to enter the residence. Despite acknowledging the emotional circumstances surrounding her actions, the court must ultimately focus on the law and the facts presented. With obvious reluctance, the judge accepts the guilty plea and orders a pre-sentence investigation before sentencing. This case highlights how family disputes can quickly become legal battles when emotions and parental rights collide. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.